na kailangan politika, hindi pwedeng competence, kailangan malakas ka. Lahat parang it has been very, very difficult for us because institutions have been destroyed because of politics. So kailangan this reformist president will have to have the willpower and the courage to say no and to push for what is correct.
But you know, your problem is if there are so many candidates and the winner will just win by not a very significant number. So what seeps in is how you have to build a coalition, especially in Congress and the House and the Senate. And so patronage will even come there. I mean, how can this reformist winner ever think of making the changes that are necessary to reform our institutions?
Kasi, tignan mo ha, look at the numbers. We probably will have a minority president. So you will probably have to have 40% of the votes. Pero if you look at technology, 30% of the Filipinos use the internet. So yung sinasabi ni Quintin ngayon, kailangan ma-reach mo yung, this would be an innovative way of campaigning. So if you're able to reach the young vote through media or through IT, then you would have a mileage. Pero sinasabi ko naman, yung willing and dealing, hindi naman kailangan you will sell your soul to the vested interest. Look at Ted Kennedy, di ba? He's considered a hero of his time, but he was able to pass a lot of legislation by dealing, but not really compromising. Si Ramos, di ba, ganun din? He was able to do a lot of consultations and pass a lot of very difficult reforms. Look at all the regulations. That's a very difficult reform. But he was able to do it, di ba, by asking everybody to rise above their parochial interests and really work for the service of the country. Unang-una, dapat may political capital tong taong to.
I just want to build on that. In fact, I was involved in oil deregulation when I was a staffer in the House of Representatives, and that was the same thing that happened. You had a president who won by plurality. We have the facts in front of us now. Recent history shows that even with the smallest of margins, you can create a coalition and have a good presidency. You get, the highest GDP you have in record. You get undersecretaries like Mena Guevara to put the tax to GDP ratio at 17%, the highest it's ever been. We didn't have to pass a VAT because our collection efficiency was high. All these little success stories happened despite the fact that there was a lesser than ideal mandate. And I think that brings me to my observation, as I mentioned earlier, that this looks like a 1992 election all over again. Many candidates, nobody going over the 30% level. I think what will edge them apart is the fact that they will have to compete with each other. And I think that competition will make them stronger. If you look at the more recent history, look at the presidential elections in the U.S. That primary process took the steam out of everybody. It made Barack Obama a lot stronger than he started out with. Nobody gave him a fighting chance against the Clintons, but I think the process made him stronger, and eventually he got to where he was. But if you tell me now that he, as a candidate, was the same person who was the one sworn in when he became president, I would respectfully disagree, because that process helps make you stronger. And I think maybe the role of a movement like the Movement for Good Governance, and maybe institutions like COMELEC and the media like yourself, is to make sure our presidential candidates don't take for granted that they are competing for our vote, very sacred vote, and that the public office is a public trust, which is very shop-worn, very underrated, but it's true. So hopefully this process we have in the next 6 to 8 months, will help make them understand and compete at the best. Competition is always good, right?
He made mention about public office is a public trust. And when you speak about this particular line, how many of your candidates really realize what it really means from those seeking the presidency down to those who are in the local level?
Kaya nga kasi we have to have an advocacy, diba? That this is not their battle. This is the battle of the country, and we should really fight to have the best president. And we have to make them accountable. Kaya nga sabi namin, we will try and benchmark all the candidates relative to their past performance, relative to their platforms, to what should be done in the country. Parang scorecard system, parang report card. So, halimbawa, itong candidate A, out of 9 characteristics or 9 virtues, papasa lang niya yung dalawa. So, we have to make it public na dalawa lang yung nasagot niya. Ikaw, sana, pwede, tulungan mo kami. Are we going to vote for somebody who got 20% compared to somebody who got 70% or 80%?
Okay, we'll continue with Convergence after we pause for this reminder. We're back with Convergence. When you speak about benchmarking, it's like school, no? But no, this is reality check. Yeah? I mean, who among those who seek the presidency, when you go through a benchmarking, are really conscious of what the people expect of them and what they should deliver?
I think, the question has yet to be answered. Now, we still don't know who are filing for candidacy. We'll have to wait for November for that. But what we want to do, rather than wait, is be proactive enough to develop these benchmarks and share them first with the Filipino people. Because the most important thing is the Filipino people need to know, and they'll be able to judge for themselves. The difference between our movement and the others that are out there is that we don't want to nominate, a presidential. Our goal is not to choose the presidential, but our goal is to help people choose who are the rightful leaders. And even if it's the lesser evil, at least they know. To us, and personally to me, democracy is accountability. That's just as simple as that. It's the first thing you do is that everybody is sold a bill of goods, and it has to be exactly the way it's advertised. If you're looking at that as a retail transaction, as a customer, we're all customers. The same way it is with the voter, and even more with the voter and the candidate. So our goal is to make sure that transparency exists. If we don't have the best candidate in the world, at least they'll know why not. And so our goal right now, our focus is shifting it away from the candidate and going back to the voter. The voter has to look at what are the essentials, the empowering, the effective, the ethical. And one tool we're doing to get that done is to put a scorecard together for each of our Talakayan fora. In the Talakayan, you don't want to look at the best looking, the best dressed, or the most persuasive. You want to look at the person who actually answers a question as it should be answered.
And who has the heart?
Who has the heart, who's decisive enough. So what we've done, and I've taken this again from my best presidential, Raul Roco, the 5 C's. We are looking at people who come into the debates and these discussions, who answer questions on the basis of 5 C's. Competence. Do they answer glittering generalities, or are they answering it to the heart of the question? Are they avoiding questions, or are they answering them head on? Consistency. This is person's statements align with what he said before the show or after the show.
Or his action.
Or his actions. We're looking
just for television or what?
No, his action. His action.
Yeah.
And even within a debate, somebody can change their minds right away, and that's not a good sign. This teka-teka mentality that never works, right? Then we're looking at